Alrighty, so this may be a poor quality video, but I figured I would give it a go. This is the hive that I am combining today. So it's in a single deep, and I've got one other hive that was in a deep. So I'm gonna stash the queen from the lower performing hive and do a newspaper combine. And this one. I'm also transforming magically the feeder box into a cold box. So my plan is to grab, there's at least one frame of brood in the hive that I'm moving into here. So I'm going to put all that brood in the bottom box and move a honey frame up to make space for it. So I'll do that first before I open up the other hive. Due to circumstances outside of my control, the hive that I'm combining with this one was actually at my house for longer than I wanted them to be, and they're pretty desperate to get out. So it might be a cloud of bees going crazy here in a minute when I open up that second hive. So this is kind of an interesting wonky frame that they've made, but that's the outside frame. Stash that. Move some frames over to make some space in the brood nest. So, actually, let's see if we can actually... They're kind of pissed off, so I probably won't do this for very long, but that's the bottom box. So I'm just scooting over the frames to the third. Well, actually, this will be the fourth one, because that's where I expect this hive's brood nest to be. So I want to put all the brood together. Yeah. Brood. And still got a drone. Well, I'm in here. Suppose I might as well just look on the next frame over and see if there's any larva, young brood. Oh, there's the queen. So there she is. I don't know if you can see her, but she's a marked queen. I'm going to pop this frame back in there. It looks like they're actually backfilling that one with honey. But now I definitely know where I want to put that new brood frame. Ooh! And they just got me in the armpit. It's the first time I've been stung in the new ventilated suit, so yeah, I saw it here, folks. Absolute bonanza of bees, you guys. There's a lot of pent-up bees in this hive that have been hanging out for a few days. So I'm sorry you can't see any of this, but gotta kind of try to focus on the beekeeping a little bit here. Make sure I get all the brood out of this hive and into the bottom box as quickly as possible. It's warm enough to work with the frames, but it's not as warm as I'd like it to be for a leisurely inspection. Queen on this frame. I'm gonna set. Yeah, so the queen for this hive is here on this frame. So I've got a little nuke box set aside. So we're just gonna pop her into there. So we know where she is. And we know there's no chance that we're gonna put her in the other hive by accident. So, cover on that nuke box. Beautiful. All right, well that was lucky and fantastic. I almost always find that queen. I really like her. So I wish this hive had done better. All right, there's their brood. So I'm gonna actually shake the bees off of this frame because like I said, I'm doing a newspaper combine, so I wanna keep the original bees in their own boxes for a couple of days behind the newspaper so that they can get used to each other's scent and all that. So just kind of brushing the bees, last few off this frame. It's pretty decent. Little brood frame. Some larvae in there too. I actually do see some eggs now. These guys are very persistent. They're like, hey, those are my babies. Don't be messing with them. That brood will be totally accepted by the new hive. And I'm pretty sure that's the only brood frame, but I'm gonna go ahead and check the next one over anyway. Yeah. Awesome. So, that was fun. Now, I'm gonna put the newspaper part on the top. So, they've got 3 frames of brood in there and 5 pretty full frames of honey. They've got a bunch of pollen, so that's pretty awesome. They're not the happiest with me right now, but that's okay. I wouldn't be the happiest with me right now if I were doing this to my own home. So this is the super fun part. This hive is pretty light, so hopefully I won't struggle too heinously to get it on there. Perfect. So I got my newspaper, and this is fun. It's a Buddhist newspaper that I received, and it's printed on recycled paper with soy ink, so like the bees can get their Buddhist wisdom and also not be exposed to any kind of weird ink or crap. Alright. So, got this relatively straightened on there. Try to jam it a little bit from the front. Get it perfect. As close as what's possible. Alright. So, the next bit is actually what I'm doing with the rest of the hives today. Just putting on a ventilated quilt box. And I just put the extra frames from the bottom into the top. And then we'll put a quilt box on top of the whole thing. Yeah. These guys definitely have a way to go to fill this second box. The reason I ended up combining these 2 hives is that I was going to overwinter them at my friend's vineyard, but after I'd moved them up there, I went to check on them a week later, and they were just getting crazily robbed out by like local bees and wasps and yellow jackets, and it was not the thing you want to see. So I basically just grabbed them up out of there, stashed them at home for a couple of days, and brought them up here. So I'm just grabbing one more partially filled frame from another hive. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 frames. Woohoo! Right, so Selena slash Beyonce is now officially in 2 deeps. That top deep is kind of light, but it's supposed to be really nice weather for the next week. So I am hopeful that they'll be able to gather a bunch more nectar, and I'll take you guys on a tour of the feeding station next. It's getting too cold to feed inside the hives, but when it's warm enough for them to forage, they can go out to the sugar water feeder and grab sugar water. So I'm going to take off the inner covers. I'm going to return these little friends to their home. Hi guys. It's okay. You can make it. Hope everybody gets in there because there's so few of you. Alright, so that's a shim. It's got a little hole in the front for an upper entrance. And then this is the box that I took off the top that used to be a feeder box. I use these little push pins to indicate where the feeders are in the hives, so I can tell at a glance if I'm looking at an empty box full of a feeder or an actual filled out box full of bees. And then for the frame feeders, which I do use some of as well, it indicates where in the hive the frame feeder is, so it makes it really easy to just open up the inner cover enough to expose the feeder and then feed the bees and close it up again without bothering them too much. So this here is just a cotton pillowcase, and it's full of some nice untreated pine shavings. So I'm just kind of fluffing that up a little bit in this top box here above the shim. And then I have a piece of this foam insulation. I was so lucky, a neighbor was insulating part of their house and had some extra pieces, so I got this insulation. So a piece of that on the top. And then last year I had a lot of moisture problems, so this year I'm trying a new thing, which is just to put a couple of little shims here. So it'll just prop the roof up a little bit at the back. And my hope is that that will allow some more ventilation to come out, and it also is going to tip forward because the shims are here at the back. So if there is condensation, it should either come out the ventilation holes or roll down towards the front of the hive as opposed to falling down on the cluster. So I'm just going to kind of tape the shims in place because I was hoping they balance a little bit better than they actually do in real life. So my trusty yellow bee themed duct tape. And that's pretty much all there is to it. So I'm going to put the roof back on. And do it again. So I got 7 more of these to go. I'm hoping to get them all done today. So thank you for watching. Sorry the video is a little obscured and bizarre, but I unfortunately am lacking in documentarian, and so we're going selfie style crazy here. So I'm going to get out of the bees' way and let them calm down a little bit before I go on to the next hive. These ladies are not the happiest.